So the sixth principle for thinking like Leonardo is corporalita. And I'd like to introduce to you one of the world experts on the application of that principle to organizational energy and enlivenment. Please have a seat at your leisure. Dr. Eva Selhub, former instructor at Harvard Medical School, director of the Benson Henry Mind-Body Clinic, author of 3 fabulous books with a 4th on the way, amazing CrossFit instructor, the one person in North America fully certified to teach the 7 Da Vinci principles, and just one of my all-around most wonderful favorite people in the world. Tell them about resilience and corporalita.
Well, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Every time he calls me an expert, I look around to see who he's talking about. I work on exploring and curiosità more than I like to say that I'm an expert, though I guess in my own right I can be if I choose. And I love being here. I'm so thankful that I'm here. The first time I spoke was in, I think, 2010. I think we figured out when I wrote The Love Response, and I came to Conscious Capitalism to talk about love. And though it is sort of at the cornerstone of everything, what I've found to be so interesting here is there's so much learning and so much grace here and so much giving and such incredible people. Having said that, of everything you've learned here, has anyone actually talked about the body? Right? It's like we're talking heads or talking hearts. But what about the body? It's all connected. You have mirror neurons that are connected to little brains throughout the body that are signaling you all the time about what's going on. And this is a real issue. It's a real issue that the disregard of the mind, body, heart, spirit system as a whole. It's like looking at a business and only looking at the leaders and not looking at the employees and how the whole system is run. It's a system. And it's an issue. 45% of Americans, it's 133 million people, and that number has gone up by now. It's more like 50% at this point, have at least one chronic health condition. 55% of people are on at least one prescribed medication. 1/3 of the American population is obese. That means at least 50% of the people here have a chronic health condition. Of those chronic health conditions, the majority of those health conditions are either caused by or exacerbated by stress. 75 to 90% of visits to the doctor's office are a count of stress. And stress as it causes absenteeism, sick days, chronic health conditions, increase in healthcare premiums are costing US businesses $300 billion a year. It's no joke. So let's look at this slide. Most of us think of the health continuum as either you're sick or you're well. That's sort of how allopathic medicine works. So if you were to look at this slide, a show of hands, how many people here would consider themselves fit? Pretty good. How many people would say they're well? I won't put you on the spot and ask you if you think you're sick, but how many people aren't sure what they are, where they fall, what category they fall into? Now, most people, when I'm out lecturing, will tell me, we think we're well. Well, then I ask, well, how many people here are able to wake up in the morning completely rested? Right. And most of you said you were fit or well. How many people, I'm not even going to ask you if you eat healthy because most people don't even know what that means. They tell me they eat healthy and then they say, well, tell me what you have. Well, I had fruit and cereal for breakfast, sugar. I had no offense, but a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch, sugar, sugar, sugar. And I had, a whole grain pasta with, a protein and something and juice or wine, more sugar. Is that healthy? Well, it might be if you're, a marathon runner. But how many people here exercise every day to that extent? How many people even exercise a day? How many people move? Are you following this? So even though you think you're well, you're probably more on that sickness spectrum than you are on the fitness spectrum. So when the flu comes through, you get it. And not only that, you need to now get a vaccine so that you don't get it. But meanwhile, you could be the fit person who doesn't get that. And how does that translate to a company? Because if you're sick, you can't work. If you're stressed, you can't function. You don't have access to curiosità. You don't have access to dimostrazione. You don't have access to innovation and creativity and productivity. You don't have access of consciousness. You can certainly be dead and conscious, but you cannot be a conscious leader. You cannot be a conscious influencer if you're dead or if you're unwell. So this is a really important factor for people to pay attention to because the body is absolutely brilliant. It is telling us all the time where we are at any given moment, and all we need to do is pay attention. And you can have access to brilliant decision-making and emotional intelligence and those mirror neurons. It's telling you what those mirror neurons are doing, but if you were to pay attention, you would be able to act before a behavior takes place. And this is why a lot of wellness programs don't work. When I consult, I look at what these wellness programs are doing, and they're not looking at the stress response. Because when that stress response kicks in, we move into behaviors that help us feel better. So we eat and we drink, or we sleep, or we don't move. And that's why people don't change. Because you have to get access to the self. This is where sensazione becomes so important. So let's even just take an example. How many people here regularly should on themselves? I should do this, I should do that. Everyone does that. They don't even know they're doing it. So all you people that say you don't, that's not true. So I want you to think about, just right now, I want you to pay attention. You're conscious, aware people. So this is a little bit easier than some of the other crowds I work with. But pay attention to particularly your chest. And I want you to say, I should have ... and just notice how that makes you feel. This is a practice of sensazione, engaging your senses. How does it make you feel? Okay? Now, I just want you to take that exact same sentence. Oh, and notice how it makes you feel and how likely now are you to actually do whatever it is you should have done. Probably not. You're probably going to eat Ben & Jerry's or something because you feel so depressed that you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Now, I want you to just change that sentence to, I could have. I could have. What happened? Oh, yeah, I could do that. Now we have empowerment, accountability. Accountability. That means, yeah, I could do that. And imagine that just the change of language and thought has a physiological reaction in the body that then can change the outcome of behaviors, whether it's your health behaviors or the behaviors of your organization. When we get connected to what we have been given, so that your soul can shine through your voice because your body is this gift that you have to be here on this earth and make it a better place and be able to be that contagion of greatness. It can happen when you're open and not when you're closed. And when you are in that contracted state, that your thoughts, your behaviors, the food you take in, the exercise that you do or don't do, it affects the system all the time. The environment is affecting the system. You are a system, living, breathing system that is constantly responding to the environment. And it behooves us, if we are going to be conscious, then it behooves us to take care of ourselves so that we can shine our light for other people to find their light switch. And if we don't take care of this mind-body system, then it's going to be sick. And when you're sick, what good are you? Not only that, it's going to cost you and your organization a lot of money. So if we want success and we want to be fit, and not only physically fit, spiritually fit, emotionally fit, then we have to actually pay attention to what's happening here. Because if you don't access what's here, there's no way that you can influence the outside as best as you can. So, with that, I'm going to have you stand. And I just want you to shake it out a little bit, just like you learned. And I just want you to put a big smile on your face, as big as you can make it, and just imagine that your heart is just opening up to the sun, to the sky. Ah, you can say, ah. Ah. How does that feel? Ah. How long did that take to feel that way? Seconds. Have you ever seen a depressed person walk around like this? So when you have that person in the room that is the downer, just walk up to them and say, ah. I guarantee you at least we'll get them to laugh, which has that same effect of opening up to that expansive state. You're more likely than going to eat a healthy lunch. Okay? Take note of the self so that you can then be present for the other. Thank you.